Welcome to the Warfare Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Lane Lawson Craft. Join us here every other Monday. Now, let's get into today's podcast. Welcome to the Warfare Parenting Podcast. Today is powerful because we have a testimony of overcoming sexual assault. Hello, Gigi Sabbat. I said it. Hello, Gigi. How are you?
Fantastic. And it's such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're an honor. You know, this is a subject many of us don't want to talk about. Sexual assault. It's not pretty. You can call it rape because that's what it is. We want to hear your powerful story of overcoming this. And you can just start at whatever point you want to. I know that you're a very successful businesswoman. You also are a light to the dark world. And, you know, we will just start with your story. How about that, Gigi?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So I was sexually assaulted when I was 8 years old, and then again as an adult. And so it actually happened after domestic violence. So when I was adult. So let me go back a little bit. Let me circle back. So when I was 8 years old, I was sexually assaulted by two individuals. And for me, that transformed my entire life because it affected my social relationships. It affected my trust in others. And I just went on through life with that, with knowing that. And for me, the memories came randomly. They would come at random points. And I'm a huge advocate today, but I didn't understand what happened when I was 8. Here I am. I'm just 8 years old. And I'm beginning to talk a little bit more about it. People are beginning to ask the right questions. I've been on other shows and they started asking questions and the more and more I'm sharing it, the more and more I'm able to go into the story. And when we talk about what happened, yes, there was blood involved in all these things. And so when we talk about trauma and we talk about blood being involved now, and to an 8-year-old. And so I look at what happened to me and I think I don't ever want this to happen to someone else. And I don't want them to experience the same pain that I've endured. And here's the thing. And that I went through. And so when we talk about what happened as an adult, for me, after it happened, I couldn't believe it because I'm in shock now because I took all the precautions you could possibly think of as a human being. I took all of the precautions to avoid this from ever happening again. And I was out on a work function and I was sexually assaulted again as an adult. And for me, I just remember waking up the next day and I'm sitting in shock. I'm numb. I pretty much felt numb to pain, and I didn't like it. That's not that. I'm so open about it because no one should ever have to experience that, and no one should stay in that feeling, being numb to pain. And so I want to encourage the folks that are listening today that you can overcome any challenge that you're facing in your life. And I remember as I started sharing the sexual assault story, I remember my heart wanted to share the story, and then something was like trying to keep it back, like no, like it was almost like it was so powerful, it was so internal, and I remember just sitting there like, this feels like a heart block. This feels like a heart block, and so a wise person told me, you need to share your story. It may help someone, and for me, that was it. That was it. It may help someone. And that's it. Same thing with the domestic violence. It may help someone, right? That's it. So, and as I mentioned, the domestic violence happened as an adult, and then the sexual assault as an adult happened. So those were back to back. And then here I am. But I have to tell you, with the sexual assault component, that's when I felt that heart block. And I'm sitting there with this, and I said, what is that? And so here I am, I'm praying, and I'm talking to God, right? And I'm just listening to him. And here it is. Now we're going to share overcoming heart blocks. But little did I know that there's more people who've experienced a heart block. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm not alone. There are other people. And what I found was that it's not just sexual assault survivors who have heart blocks. I mean, the co-authors of Overcoming Heart Blocks, the heart blocks have stemmed from human trafficking to people losing a family member, to people having a relationship issue with maybe a parent, or a significant other. And it's been so many ranges, from people also leaving home at a young age. I mean, it goes on and on. Just you read the stories in the book. I don't want to give too much away, but you read the stories in the book. And I think that it's so helpful, especially if you're listening to this message today and you have a heart block. You're not alone. One, we stand with you. You're not alone. Don't give up, because it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And when we talk about sexual assault, that topic alone is not easy.
So, Gigi, you know, we often talk about you're a believer, and we both believe the enemy comes in to seek, kill, and destroy. You were 8 years old. 8 years old. You know, that's what the enemy tried to do with my 3 kids. He came in early and tried to destroy their destiny, tried to get them defeated when they were young. And here you are. You are an absolute victory over what the devil tried to steal from you. Do you agree?
I feel as though I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be alive. I look back now knowing what I know. And if somebody can do that to another human being, there's no telling what they could do. So I tell people today that you don't know what can happen. You don't know, especially in a situation like that. But here's the thing. You have to understand that, like my good friend Amber Lyons says, pain for purpose. Don't stay in that pain and don't give up. Don't. You're not your challenges and you're not your trials and tribulations. And so if we continue to keep that in our mind and let it consume us, for example, I tell you this, I could have said, well, this happened to me. And so that's it. This happened to me at such a young age. Why did this happen to me? I blame this. I blame that. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And for me, it just, I was really just wondering what just happened. Like, what was that? What just happened? And you're so young. I know folks who are listening to this, it may have happened to them when they're young. I know they can understand where I'm coming from. You're sitting there, you're so young. You don't know. And so it makes you wonder. It makes you pay attention and makes you wonder. And when you get older, and if it happens again, and you're listening to this message today, I want to encourage you, don't give up. I know that, and I want to tell you, if you've been there, it has happened more than once. You know what I'm talking about, that numb feeling. And if you're still in it, you can overcome. And if you have a heart block, you can overcome your heart block. Let's
talk about that. That is where you found your victory, is when you released that heart block, when you were able to just get through that. What does that look like, Gigi?
It's very, very internal. It's very internal. And for me, it was so surreal, because here I am, when I was 8, what I felt, I didn't know that's a heart block. I don't know. I didn't know these things. I'm so young. And so I go back and I say, how long did I have this? How long did I have this? But I know it was rooted from the sexual assault, because I can feel it so internal every time we talk about it. So here we are. I'm able to have the conversation with you about sexual assault, but I was never able to do that before. You see, so you have to really allow yourself to overcome that heart block, because this is what I tell people today. You're not really living. You're just literally drifting through life. But once you overcome your heart block, here you are. You show up as the person God needs, that He created you to be. And understand this, you're the children of God. We are all the children of God, and we're called to serve His people. And so we need to understand that we need to first make sure that we understand who we are and whose we are. And we also have to make sure that we are okay, right? And if you're not okay, that's okay, right? It's understanding what may have happened to you, but also to really taking the time to recover. And right. I took the time to recover, and I worked with several people who helped me. They really helped me. Several organizations helped me.
Let me ask you. Yeah, I was going to ask you, how did you reconcile it with God, Gigi? How did you reconcile, the offense and the assault with God? Did you, and how did you do that?
Absolutely. Excellent question. So going back to the organizations and things of that, I'm talking about community, right? I'm talking about coaches. And that's why coaches are so important as well. And yes, God helped me through being baptized again as an adult, reading the Bible again as an adult. These things help me, and they can help you too. And that's why it's so important. If you're listening to this message today and you've been sexually assaulted and you are able, you have the voice now to share what happened, do so. Like someone told, the wise man that told me, it may help someone. So I highly encourage you to come forward. It's okay. It's okay. And it may help someone.
Yeah, it will. Well, we're big believers, and every time we share our testimony, I believe it's the Hebrew root word. It means do it again. So every time we share what we've overcome through God's help and power, then he's able to do it over and over again to so many others. And I know that there are many people listening. We know for a fact that 1 in 3 women, and most of them are under the age of 18, that are sexually assaulted. We've got sex trafficking now. That's a whole new level of assaults and just terrible things. And so, this is something we must be vocal about.
That's right.
We must make people get rid of shame. You didn't cause it. These are terrible people that do this. And another thing that was astounding to me was when I was doing the research, Gigi, that we discussed in the first episode of this series, was that I believe it was over 60%, maybe as high as almost 70% of the perpetrators are known to the child or to the female.
That's right.
To the assaulted person. Amazing.
Yes. So I, of course, knew the person when I was 8 years old, because I'm very open about it. It was a family member, not my mother, not my father, not my brother, but outside family. And so for me, it's understanding that, okay, this happened, but the forgiveness component. Why do I say that? Because the Bible says, Father, please forgive them because they do not know what they're doing. For they do not know what they're doing. And as far as an adult, when it happened as an adult, I did not know the person. And what happened afterwards is my memory recollection, and that photographic memory of the face of the person is actually what then led me to ask questions the next day after it happened. And I'm saying, what just happened? And here I am. And then figuring out, finding out from somebody that was there the night it happened, that this person works for the company, but from a different state. And then I found online, this is the person. I was able to identify that person because of the photographic memory. Mind you, this person did not work in the same state. So I did not know this person. And so here I am left with the memories of what happened and the recollection of it all now as an adult. So I have 2 memories of being sexually assaulted. And if you're listening to this message today, you've been there. Again, I want to encourage you, don't give up. I know it's not easy, but do not give up.
I love this. And so, Gigi, you mentioned the Heart book. Can you tell us about that book one more time? And I think that would be a very powerful tool for them to read, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. So Overcoming Heart Blocks, Inspiring Stories for Healing from Trauma. The folks have come forward, the other authors of the book from all over the world, and they've shared their stories about overcoming their heart blocks. And so, yes. And so it's to encourage folks, maybe if you have a heart block, right? And what I found, again, that it can be rooted from really pretty much any type of trauma. And understand this, that you can overcome. Some people think that's it. This happened, this traumatic event happened or experience, my life is over. It's not. There's hope. And with God, all things are possible. You can overcome anything. And as Joshua 1:9 states, one of my favorite verses, haven't I commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid or discouraged, for your Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Therefore, hold faith and hold on to God. And also, too, going back to sexual assault, I want to highlight a few things. Why? Because it's so important that we focus in and educate others about it. So when we talk about sexual assault happens to women and it happens to men. It can happen to anyone at any age, period, and it can happen more than once. After it happened when I was 8, I did think that it only happened once, but I'm a walking, talking testimony that no, it does. It can happen. It can happen more than once. And I've heard people say that it happened to them more than 2 times. So, I highly recommend, just because it happens again, don't stop doing taking your safety precautions. Continue to take those safety precautions. And also, too, continue to be very observant with your surroundings. Just make sure that you're very aware, and also, too, understand that you're not alone and God is with you.
That is so powerful, Gigi. You are a woman that many of us were going to want to get to know more about. And I just have really enjoyed hearing your heart and your heart for others. And it takes courage, Gigi. It takes courage to come out and talk about things in our life that hurt us. And we really do appreciate you coming on today and sharing this powerful testimony. Do you have any lasting comments you would like to leave us with today?
Absolutely. Yes. That we need to continue to educate others about sexual assault. And it starts with, again, those folks who have been through it, to really share their stories for people to understand. Because some people, they don't understand. If they don't know what sexual assault is, and how can they be observant or know what to look out for in their surroundings, and to what to avoid? It can be, I truly believe it can be prevented, but it's all about positive intervention for positive prevention and positive solutions. So it starts with education. So if we come forward and let people know, okay, this happened to me, this is where it happened. Perhaps maybe if they're in an area or they see somebody going through something similar, they can intervene in a positive manner. Call 911. Now they'll know what to do. But if they don't know, they'll just walk by. And that's it. They don't know. They don't know because they don't know what to look for, right? Just like domestic violence. You know what? If we're educating others on narcissistic character traits and the red signs and the flags, then you know what to look for. But same thing here, sexual assault. We need to go back to the root things, the root the signs and the flags, the red flags.
Yes, we do. And listen, I want to leave the viewers and listeners with this positive note that no matter when the sexual assault, even as a child or as an adult, there's healing in the love of God. And don't think you can't have your best life, because Gigi has just shared with us that healing is possible and God can do the impossible. And we want to leave you with that encouraging word. And Gigi, again, thank you so much for coming on to Warfare Parenting Podcast. And I can't wait to get with you again soon.
Likewise. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Warfare Parenting. I hope you found some encouragement or helpful info today to help you on your journey. If you have a specific topic you'd like for me to talk about, or a guest you'd like for me to have on the show, please feel free to send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. Listen, I love connecting with you, and so I've made it really easy for us to stay connected. Text Hi Lane to 55444. That's HILAINE to 55444. Also, be sure to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode, and leave me a rate and review. I would be so grateful. I'll see you next week.